Hi everyone! Today we're going to take a look at how we can factor quadratic equations when our a value is not equal to 1. So in this equation, let's first see how we can write out the constants of this function. A is equal to 6, b is equal to negative 16, and notice how I'm also including the sign that's before it, and c is equal to 8. And of course, this is implied, but this equation is equal to 0. So clearly here, our a value is not equal to 1. So today we're going to take a look at how we're going to factor this quadratic equation, because it is a little bit different than how we factor equations when our constant a is equal to 1. So our first step is going to be to multiply our a value by our c value, which is 6 times 8. Now, if you recall, when we're factoring quadratic equations when a is equal to 1, we factored out the c value over here, and then we found the factors that when added up equal the b value. Well, here we're going to factor out the product of a and c. So a times c, which is 6 times 8, is equal to 48. So now we need to find factors where when we add those factors, we're going to get a sum of negative 16. Now, considering that this is a negative number, there's another important thing to keep in mind. When we want to get a positive product, as we have here, we can either multiply two positive numbers, or we can also multiply two negative numbers. And considering how our b value is equal to negative 16, in this case, our factors are probably both going to be negative numbers. So that's how I'm going to write them out over here. Well, our factors of 48, when they're negative, will be negative 1 times negative 48, negative 2 times negative 24, negative 3 times negative 16, negative 4 times negative 12, negative 6 times negative 8. So these are our factors, and when adding these up, let's see, negative 1 plus negative 48 is going to give me negative 49. Negative 2 plus negative 24 is going to give me negative 26. Negative 3 plus negative 16, is going to equal negative 19. Negative 4 plus negative 12 is going to give me negative 16. And just to show you, negative 6 plus negative 8 is equal to negative 14, but we already found our answer right over here, because these two factors, when multiplied, equal 48, and when added, equal negative 16. So now we're going to basically split this term, the negative 16x, into a sum of two separate terms. And for those terms, these factors, negative 4, negative 12, are going to be the coefficients. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to keep my 6x squared, just as it already was. And then I'm going to split negative 16x into negative 4x and negative 12x. Now see, both of these numbers, negative 4x minus negative 12x, equals negative 16x. I'm just factoring it and writing it in a different way to make our factoring process easier. And again, I'm just going to keep this plus 8 as it is before. And as always, this is equal to 0. The next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to group all of these terms actually, into two groups. So the first two terms, 6x squared minus 4x, will be one group. And the next two terms, negative 2x plus 8, is going to be our second group. What we're going to do is for each of these groups, I'm going to find the greatest common factor and factor it out. What's the greatest term that I can factor out of each of these groups? Well, for 6x squared minus 4x, the greatest term that I can factor out is going to be 2x. So I'm going to factor out a 2x, and when I factor that out, I'm left with 3x minus 2. And I'm going to do the same thing here. For negative 12x plus 8, the factor that I'm going to factor out, because it is beneficial when our x value is actually positive, I'm going to factor out a negative 4. So when I factor out a negative 4, I'm left with 3x minus 2, which is all equal to 0. Now, if you notice here, this term and this term are actually the same, which is exactly how we want it to be. Now, for our final grouping, what I'm going to do is group these two factors that we factored out of our original groups. So I'm going to put that into one group and write this as 2x minus 4. And then I'm going to just keep the 3x minus 2 separately. And we're going to make this equal to 0. And this is the completely factored form of 6x squared minus 16x plus 8. Now, just to verify, we can also multiply these terms out using the FOIL method, and we can see if we get back to our standard form. So for FOIL, we have to multiply the firsts, the outers, the inners, and the lasts. So I'm going to multiply the firsts. 2x times 3x equals 6x squared. Then I'm going to do the outers, which is 2x times negative 2, which is negative 4x. Then the inners, negative 4 and 3x, which is negative 12x. And then lastly, the lasts, which is negative 4 and negative 2, which is 8. Now, these are two common terms, so I can write this as 6x squared minus 16x plus 8 equals 0. And this is exactly what we have up here. So this is just one way that you can check if you got the correct solutions out of your factored form. So now I'm going to go back and rewrite my factored form, and I'm going to show you how we can find the solutions from that. And actually, it is very similar to when we do it when our a constant is equal to 1. So just like we did last time, I'm going to make 2x minus 4 equal to 0, and then I'm going to make 3x minus 2 equal to 0. So I'm equating each of these factors to 0, and I'm going to solve for x. So x here, if I add 4 to both sides and divide by 2, I'm going to get x is equal to 2. And over here, if I add 2 to both sides and divide by 3, I'm going to get 2/3. So my solutions to this quadratic equation are going to be x is equal to 2 and x is equal to 2/3. For more personalized tutoring and to practice online using our online assessments, make sure to check out Prepaze.com. I'll see you all in my next video.